In a previous video I describe how drones are used, and that relates directly to how this information I'm going to talk about here was gathered. I've also talked about the universe being made of consciousness and not matter. Being that matter and energy are just a concentrated intention manifestation of that said creator consciousness. I talked about how any place in space and time, everything, including all kinds of objects, are represented with a frequency numerical value, depending on the harmonics of a frequency each one is holding. In other words, each object holds a unique vibration that can be represented with a number. We can think of an area and all the objects in it as a map of numbers. This correlates directly with densities of existence, where the higher the numerical frequency value of a place or of a realm is, the higher the density it will pertain to. The higher a frequency is, the more information it can carry, and this in other words means that the more awareness a sentient being has, the higher a density it will belong to. Remarking that we do not live in a density, we are a density. And that higher frequency with a higher volume of information, in turn, will cause the sentient being experiencing all this, to be able to create a more complex realm world to live in, being that this apparent world, external to the sentient being, is only an illusion, and a direct reflection of the being itself. The world is because the sentient being is making it so, with its own interpretations, values and agreements. All matter, as such, is also an illusion, and it is formed with standing waves that are created and sustained by a specific harmonic of a frequency, unique and specific to each particle of matter. This harmonic is what will give all the attributes and properties of each particle, and all the more complex objects it forms in conjunction with other particles. All this moves in a media that is pure consciousness, and can be seen and studied, thinking of it as water and its flow dynamics, to the point that even most laws of hydrodynamics apply here, validly enough. This flow in the fluid of pure consciousness is gravity. Gravity is a flow and a direction of attention, as well as the volume or amount of that attention something is receiving, and whatever that something may be. The harmonics that create the above are frequency, or are made of a group of frequencies in perfect coordination. This is also the description of music. And yes, this means the entire universe is formed and held together with music, and by music. This is why everything that exists can be represented with a number that in turn describes the value of the frequency, and the value of the harmonics that are in play there, and that in turn are forming whatever exists. The frequency and its harmonics are the object itself. The engine that moves, generates, and creates all this is consciousness, and it applies its attention into any existential realm through all sentient beings. In other words, all sentient beings that hold consciousness, that have a connection to the greater source, who have a soul, are the creators of all the matter and all the energy that exists, simply by giving an interpretation, and a value, to what we call simple potential energy. In simpler terms, all beings with a soul create a frequency with its harmonics that in turn will create everything that ever existed, exists, and will ever exist, being that it is all one massive creation outside time and space. Time, space, distances, objects, matter, energy, they are all an idea held together by consciousness. They are all malleable because their values are not fixed, they are held by ideas and by imagination and not by fixed sterile laws. Whatever you think, is. The world you live in may seem fixed and with physical laws that apparently cannot be broken. And in your experience you cannot walk through walls, I know. However compelling and convincing all that may be, it is still only an agreement you are holding at many levels, mostly unconscious ones. But you are creating your world. This is why you must watch what material you are consuming, what subjects you are studying, and which people you are listening to. Because you are making and deciding your own values, what is possible and what is not. You are creating your whole world based upon what ideas and which people are influencing you. But it is still you who is making up your whole world, because if you are listening to one or another author or influencer, it is because you are matched to that other person's frequency. You are that other person or influencer because you agree with what it is being said. You become more of the same. The principle of dominant frequency applies here perfectly. It states that the dominant one will be the strongest and will make all other frequencies around it become more of itself. If there is a big strong frequency, all the lesser ones around its area of influence will soon vibrate exactly like it. So think on your own, be genuine and congruent with your own self-created values. All this above means that all sentient beings with a connection to the greater source generate gravity, therefore deform, modify, influence and create all the world, material or not, that surrounds the area of their awareness. And the less that soul lets external influences modify its own personal values, the more it holds itself congruent and true to itself, standing strong in adversity, the more gravity this soul is generating, therefore the more it is influencing its surroundings, and influencing other people, other souls in its area of traction. You can understand adversity as simply you being your own frequency, you wanting to conserve and defend your uniqueness, while other people frequencies surrounding you want to transform you into more of them, into more of their own. That is why if you think differently from the other people, they will attack and disqualify you, trying to force you into agreeing with them, therefore transforming you into more of them, losing your uniqueness in the process. So, stand strong, you little star seeds out there. Looking at the world in terms of frequency numerical values, as an example, whenever a person walks past any place, the area will transform its own frequency values into new ones that will be more like the ones held by the person walking past. The stronger that person is, the more gravity it creates, and the more it transforms its surroundings. This means we all live in a soup of frequencies that are the result of all the creative intentions, or harmonics, of everyone sentient being sharing such a place with us. This is also why we tend to seek the company of like-minded people, because as a group holding at least very similar agreements, we will all be stronger because we all augment, nourish and feed our own, making them stronger. That's why we feel good being accepted, and being a part of a like-minded group, because we no longer have to hold our own frequency, as much, on our own. Although we always have to, because we all hold our individuality even inside such like-minded groups, as you can imagine. But it explains the old saying, birds of a flock will flock together. And what does all this mean? It means that you are a standing wave. All souls are standing waves, held together in their own uniqueness by their own ideas and their attachments to them. That is a soul. The almighty original source consciousness, the universe itself, in each little sentient creature out there. A little unique wave, in an ocean of pure consciousness. Following what I was saying in the previous videos, your human body is your own manifestation, and it is meant to give you a limited experience within the realm you all call the physical world. But the human body can only provide a limited range of perception, whatever its five senses can perceive, and that leads to a purely materialistic way of perceiving existence, and the best example of this is the established science on Earth. But concluding that everything humans can perceive and understand with their limited science, derived from their even more limited five senses, is all what exists, is a terrible mistake. As I have described before, Taygetan science, as well as the science of just about all advanced races, Federation or not, can detect extremely subtle forms of energy, using very advanced sensors of the interferometer family. Taygetans can map and read the harmonics of a frequency of just about any place and at a molecular level. Being able to detect the most subtle changes in energy and frequency. Taygetan technology can detect and read what you call paranormal activity. Humans and their technology simply cannot see nor detect what is going on in other subtly levels of existence. They cannot see all the immense and complicated world full of entities, animals, and people that is intertwined within what is called the material world. But we can. First of all, we can perceive things mentally, as our senses go beyond the five humans account for. But here and for now, I'm only going to talk about what stellar races can detect with high technology. This information is being recollected many ways, and one of the most usual methods is using spherical drones, the ones I have described in a previous video. The so-called spirit world is not in a density above nor below the material world, it is occupying the same space, intermeshed within the same cloth, so to speak. As I described before, everything that exists is vibration and frequency. When one or another is too different, they cannot interfere with one another, but if they happen to have some, or enough, elements in common, then some interference can occur, to the exact degree of commonality between both sides. When the frequency of someone or something on one side matches something in the other, they become a sort of bridge between both realms, existing in both at the same time, because there is no barrier between realms, or what defines one or the other is the range of what can be perceived. As in, if everyone were colorblind, colors would be something paranormal, not accepted socially, and a myth. Human instruments can perceive things that are invisible to humans' five senses, for example infrared, ultraviolet, infrasound and so on. But they only extend human perception a little bit more, and not enough to detect more subtle but real forms of energy. For example, up-to-date humans can't agree with their science what gravity is, because it is outside its understanding and they basically have everything backwards. So people on Earth, and in other planets as well of course, coexist with a whole zoo of entities and astral animals of all kinds and forms, surrounding them all the time. Usually we don't interfere with one another, unless our frequencies match. Sentient beings can control their frequency of vibration by guarding their thoughts and emotions. Remember that you are what you think. Those entities, all the inhabitants of the realms that are invisible to human perception, share the same space, but not necessarily the same time, as it does tend to move differently as it is a perception. And both sides may coincide there as well, although usually not. So, when a person has a low vibration frequency, holding hurtful thoughts of anger and fear, among others for example, it is basically like rolling the dice, because if the resulting frequency matches something on the other side, any form of interaction can occur, from mild to strong. This is why certain individuals conduct hideous rituals and sacrifices, in order to lower the general frequency of the place, and their personal frequency enough to become a match to the lower astral entities they want contact with, sometimes even to reach agreements, not in the best interest of the general population. The same way, if a person holds a high frequency and vibration, and is consistent enough at holding it, becoming part of their very personality, they also end up becoming a match with other kinds of entities of a much kinder, and of a much more loving nature. This is the base theory of channeling beings in a so-called higher realm of existence. As I said before, you become the average frequency of the material, the data, and of the people you interact with. What is on the spirit side is a very large variety of what we could call animals and people, some of which have equivalents on the material side, but by far in most cases they do not have an equivalent, meaning that they are creatures that only exist in the so-called astral side. The body of a person in the material side is the result of a self-interpretation and manifestation of its own preconceived ideas about what defines it as an individual. The body is a reflection of that soul's thoughts. When someone dies in a violent way, that soul's awareness sometimes does not have the chance to adapt to the idea that its time in physicality is over. This can happen for many reasons. The same way a physical body is the manifestation of a soul's ideas, so is an astral weak form of manifestation many can call a ghost. It is an echo of someone, but it may have some level or awareness, or not. It may be just a memory being generated by that being at one or another level. No one gets lost, not knowing how to go back to source after death. But they may choose to remain in that lesser energy body form for many reasons. It is said that the main one is fear of being punished for the bad things they may have done while alive. So, again, what is causing that soul not to return to source is its own set of ideas and attachments. Certain places can hold a vibration within its walls, using rock as a crystal hard drive. But the main reason a place holds a constant low vibration, as in the case of haunted houses, it is because it is inhabited by astral beings and persons who are affecting the premises with their own thoughts and ideas. Most astral beings that are on the other side and that are unique to that realm are just animals, for lack of a better word, and will react as such, only looking to satisfy their most basic needs, such as the need to feed. So, observing them objectively, they are not good and they are not evil either. They simply are there, doing whatever they do and searching for what they need, and many times that may be contrary to our own needs and interests. The problem may arise when a subject on the material side becomes a vibrational match to one of those entities, of the animal kind or not, because although usually one side cannot see the other, when a match occurs, then they can affect each other, and this is when someone on the material world gets parasitized by this kind of entities. And this parasitism can even include people who once had a body, because they attach themselves to live people who can give them some kind, or level of satisfaction to what they were attached to when alive. For example, a live drunkard with an entity attached to it that when alive was also a drunkard. This is also the main cause of schizophrenia, a cause human science is far from understanding, and even further from accepting. I'm working on the third part now, which is the part I'm most excited to talk about because it is very revealing, important and useful information for us all. Thank you for being here with me today. With much love. Mari Swa.